They checked her heart 3 times. A woman in her early 60s, the kind of patient I have seen 100 times. An EKG in a walk-in clinic. A stress test 2 weeks later. A full heart scan the night the chest tightness woke her at 2 in the morning. 3 clean reports. A healthy 61-year-old heart. And every doctor who read those reports told her the same kind, useless thing. Your heart is fine. Go home. Nobody put a hand 2 inches lower on the one muscle sitting directly underneath that heart. The muscle that was causing all of it. You have that same muscle. And if you have ever lain in the dark with your heart racing, certain something was wrong, then been told every test came back normal, stay with me. Because you were not imagining it, and you were not being dramatic. You were looking at the wrong organ. Everyone was. My name is Dr. Marcus Reardon, 30 years a lung doctor, the one they send you to when nobody else can explain why you cannot breathe right. And in about 90 seconds, I'm going to show you a 20-second test you can do right now, in your chair, to find out if this muscle is quietly in trouble. 1 muscle, 1 test. That is the whole video. And if at any point your chest goes tight and you cannot catch your breath, you stop and you call 911. We will get to why that matters too. Before I tell you what that muscle is, I want you to feel it. So sit comfortably and breathe normal. Do not gulp a big breath first. Just let a normal breath out, the way you sigh after a long day. Then gently pinch your nose or just hold and start counting in your head. And here is the only rule that matters. You stop at the first real urge to breathe, not when you're gasping. The very first nudge that says, all right, time to breathe. Go ahead, I will wait right here. Now before anybody gets clever with that hold, do not do it driving, do not do it in water, and not standing up if you get lightheaded. If you felt dizzy just now, that is your body doing its job. So breathe and let it pass. And if you have a heart or a lung condition, or you are pregnant, skip the hold entirely and just watch. This one is not for you to perform, it is for you to understand. So, what was your number? Past 40 seconds, good. Your breathing drive is in solid shape. If you stop somewhere in the teens, do not panic, but write the number down anyway. Because here is what that hold is, and what it is not. It is not a diagnosis. Anybody who tells you a 10-second test proves your diaphragm is broken is selling you something. Doctors have a version of this, and all it really measures is how calmly your body handles the carbon dioxide that rises between breaths. A low number is a flag, not a verdict. A reason to ask a question, not an answer to be afraid of. Hold that number in your head. In a minute, I'm going to show you the wiring that explains it. And before I do, one thing worth knowing, because it matters for everything that comes after. What I'm about to walk you through, the muscle, the nerve, the whole hidden circuit, is exactly the kind of thing a 15-minute appointment never has room for. So a while back, I finally sat down and wrote all of it out. The full map, in plain English. Every claim dated to a real source, the way I would explain it to you if a visit ever lasted all afternoon. Keep that in the back of your mind. Near the end, I'm going to tell you exactly how to put it in your hands. Here is why that number matters, and it has almost nothing to do with your lungs. Picture the skin pulled tight over a drum. That is your diaphragm. A thin dome of muscle stretched across the bottom of your chest, right under your lungs and right under your heart. The Cleveland Clinic says it plainly on their own anatomy pages. This muscle sits directly beneath the heart, and when it gets into trouble, the trouble can look exactly like a heart attack. A racing pulse, chest tightness, trouble pulling a full breath, especially lying down. Read that list twice and tell me it doesn't describe half the people who land in an emergency room at midnight, certain they are dying. But the muscle shares more than a neighborhood with your heart. It shares a doorway. In the middle of that dome is a small opening where the tube from your throat passes through to your stomach. And running through that same gap, like two pipes squeezed through one hole in a wall, is the vagus nerve. Surgeons mapped this in the journal Gastroenterology back in 2009. The big nerve that sets your heart rate, your blood pressure, your digestion, and whether you feel calm or panicked, threads straight through a hole in the one muscle we are talking about. They are wired together. And when the muscle stiffens or something pushes up on it, it tugs on that wire. Now think of an old hand pump, the kind over a well. Every time you breathe in, the diaphragm drops down and pulls air into your lungs. But it pulls something else too. It changes the pressure inside your chest and helps draw blood back toward your heart. It is not only a bellows for air, it is a pump wired to everything above it and below it. And when you breathe slow and low through that muscle, around 6 breaths a minute, you turn up the vagus nerve, the body's rest and recover line. A large review in 2023 pooled study after study and kept finding the same thing. Slow breathing measurably raises the heart rate variability. That means the calm side of your nervous system has the wheel. I have to be careful here, and I want you to hold me to it. There is a system in your chest and neck called the baroreflex. Think of the thermostat on your wall, quietly nudging the heat up and down all day while you never notice. That is what it does for your blood pressure. And slow breathing through this muscle nudges that thermostat. The studies on people with high blood pressure show breathing can influence how sensitive that reflex is. But notice what I did not say. I did not say breathing cures high blood pressure. And I did not say put down your medication. I said the muscle sits on the control panel. Ask your own doctor about your numbers, with a cuff on your arm. Never a man on a screen. And it is not only pressure. In a randomized trial from 2017, slow diaphragm breathing lowered cortisol, the main stress hormone, and brought anxiety scores down. The mood and the muscle ride the same cable. After 30 years, I still find that hard to get over. So let me name the suspect those clean reports kept missing. There is even a name for one version of it your doctor rarely says out loud. Gastrocardiac syndrome. The old textbooks call it Romheld syndrome. Pressure builds under the muscle, very often after a meal, and it can set off skipped beats, real chest discomfort, even a wave of dread out of nowhere, while the heart, when they finally scan it, is perfectly fine. Let me walk you through how it shows up, the honest way. For each sign, the version that is almost certainly nothing first, then the version actually worth checking. Because most of the time, it is nothing. The whole skill is knowing when it is not. The first sign shows up at night. You lie back to sleep, and within a minute, it feels like you cannot get a full breath, like a weight settled on your chest. The version that is almost certainly nothing. Lying flat after a big dinner, a lot of us feel air hungry for a few minutes. A higher pillow sorts it out, and that is that. Just gravity and a full stomach. The version worth checking. If that feeling is new, or getting worse, or actually waking you up, do not shrug it off, because that exact symptom sits high on every heart doctor's list too. On the muscle side, the mechanism is simple. Lie flat, and your belly settles up against that dome, like a hand pressing up under a tight drum skin. And if the muscle is weak, the work of breathing climbs right when you are trying to rest. The protection is one sentence at your next visit. I get short of breath when I lie flat. Can we look at why? That gets you a real workup instead of a thicker pillow. Hold on to it. The next sign has worse timing. The second sign, and be honest with yourself on this one, because almost everybody downplays it. The flutter after dinner. You finish a good meal, sit back, and your heart does a stutter step, a skipped beat, maybe two, and a flush of unease rolls through. The version that is nothing. Every healthy heart skips now and then, after coffee, after wine, after a heavy plate, and a single flutter that passes is usually just that. The version worth checking is the pattern. If it keeps landing right after meals, not during exertion but after eating, that timing is the tell, because a full stomach pushes up under the muscle and tugs the shared nerve. So do not wave it off as gas. and do not spiral either. Do the middle thing. Write down when it happens and whether it follows food, and bring that log to your doctor. A pattern on paper beats 10 vague descriptions in an exam room. Let me give you something to take with you, right now, before we go on. Tonight, when you lie down, put one hand flat on your chest and the other just below your ribs, on your belly. Take a slow, easy breath in and notice which hand moves more. Same rules as before. Heart or lung condition or pregnant, just notice gently and force nothing. And if you feel dizzy, you stop. Here is what you are watching for. And again, this is information, not a diagnosis. In a relaxed, healthy breath, the lower hand, the belly one, should move first and move more. If the chest does all the work and the belly barely lifts, that is the muscle taking a back seat. Write down which hand won. You have 2 numbers now, the breath hold and the hand test, and both are yours to carry into a real doctor's office. The third sign is the one that makes people angriest when they finally understand it. I had a patient once, a retired school teacher, calm and capable of her whole life, who started getting hit with waves of dread in her own living room. Nothing wrong, nothing happening, and her body would flood with fear anyway. Heart pounding, chest tight, brain scanning for a threat that was not there. For 2 years, all anyone handed her was a prescription and a shrug. The version that is nothing. We all get anxious, and real anxiety is real, and it deserves real care, full stop. But here is the version nobody offered her. That same vagus nerve, running through the muscle's doorway, is the main cable between your gut, your chest, and the part of your brain that decides whether you are safe. When the muscle tugs that cable, the signal your brain gets is identical to real fear. Not imagined, not in your head, it is in your nerve. So the protection is not to dismiss it, and not to swallow the shrug either. It is to bring the physical pattern to your doctor, and ask whether your body might be part of the picture. She did. It changed how they cared for her. 2 signs left, and these are the 2 people miss most. Quick thing first, if a doctor who walks you through the whole picture, not just one room of it, is what you have been missing all these years, subscribe and stay with me. Now, the 4th sign. It is one almost nobody names out loud because it sounds too small to mention. The breath that will not satisfy. You take a deep breath in, a good full one, and your body says, no, that was not it, try again. So you do it again and again, chasing a breath that never quite lands. The version that is nothing. Everybody does this when they are tense or sitting hunched at a desk, and a good stretch and a few easy breaths clear it right up. The version worth checking is when it follows you around for weeks, at rest, for no reason you can point to. Think of a screen door that will not latch. You keep pushing it shut, and it keeps drifting open. So part of you keeps going back to it. That is your breathing drive, hunting for a set point the muscle is not delivering. It is one of the oldest signs of a diaphragm gone lazy or tight. The protection here is not a breathing app. It is telling your doctor, plainly, I keep feeling like I cannot get a full breath even when I am resting, and asking them to look at why. That one sentence gets the muscle into the conversation. The 5th sign is the swallow that catches, the food that seems to stick, the reflux that will not quit. And here is the number that ties the whole thing together. By the time you reach 50, somewhere around half of us have a hiatal hernia. That is just the top of the stomach, pushing up through that same opening in the muscle. Stat Pearls, the reference doctors actually use, puts the prevalence over 50 right around there, climbing every decade after. The version that is nothing, occasional heartburn after a spicy meal, is nearly a punchline. And most hiatal hernias never cause a symptom anyone notices. Only about 1 in 10 people who have one ever feel it. The version worth checking is reflux that will not settle, or a swallow that keeps catching week after week. Picture a door that no longer shuts flush. Things that should stay on one side keep slipping back through. If that is you, you do not diagnose yourself, and you do not panic over a number on a screen. You ask one question: could a hiatal hernia be part of this? You are not the doctor. You are holding the flashlight on the floor nobody checked. And that floor, the whole map of it, is the thing I told you at the start I had written down. This is the moment I keep that promise, because in a minute I'm going to show you how 4 good doctors can each do everything right and still miss this one muscle. And the single thing none of them ever had was the whole picture in one place. So I built it. 3 short guides, plain English, every claim dated to a real source, and I called it the Forgotten Muscle Library. The first, the all clear that wasn't, is the foundation and the vindication, the muscle nobody checked and the old breathing practices wired to it, written for everyone told everything came back normal, who still felt wrong. The second, the crossed wires, is the one most people reach for, the whole hidden circuit laid out, the heart, the sleep, the gut, the nerves, with every honest limit named right on the page. And the third, the unrushed visit, is the appointment medicine never has time for, written down to keep, including the exact questions to bring your cardiologist, your stomach doctor, your sleep clinic, and your regular doctor, so you walk in informed instead of dismissed. Now think about what those specialists already cost you, a copay and a referral each, weeks of waiting, and still not one of them owned the muscle. All 3 guides together, the complete library, with the 2 printable kits, the 1-page body map, and the question sheet you carry into the office, is $49.99. That is $157 off, 76%, while the founding price holds, and it holds through June 20th. Or take any single guide on its own, if you only want the one piece that fits the night you are having. You read it, you keep it for good, and if the file will not open, or it is not what I just described, you email me within 7 days, and I make it right. The whole map is on your screen right now. Scan the code, or go to marcus.commonguides.com. Then let me show you exactly how 4 good doctors missed it. This is the part that took me years to make peace with, and it is not about one bad doctor. By the time most people reach my office, they have already seen 4 good ones. Picture that woman from the start, again. She began with her cardiologist because chest pressure feels like a heart. He did everything right. EKG, stress test, a heart scan. He found a healthy heart, so he told her the only truth his training lets him find. Your heart is fine. 1 organ, 1 clean window. The pressure did not stop, so she saw the stomach doctor, who scoped her, found a little reflux, maybe a small hernia, and treated the acid. Exactly what a good gut doctor does. From where he sat, the gut was the whole story. Then her regular doctor, who had known her 15 years, working with 12 minutes and a full waiting room. The heart note says fine. The stomach note says reflux. So he connects 2 clean reports and lands where the map points him. It is probably stress. Let us try something for the anxiety. Not lazy. Following the trail he was handed. And on the worst night, the night she could not breathe, she ended up in the emergency room. The ER did its one sacred job perfectly because it exists to answer exactly one question. Are you about to die tonight? The answer was no. Blood work clean, oxygen fine, nothing acute. So they did the right thing and sent her home with the most dangerous sentence in all of medicine. Everything came back normal. Count with me. 4 doctors. The cardiologist checked the heart. The stomach doctor checked the gut. The regular doctor checked the mood. The ER checked for an emergency. 4 specialists, 4 clean windows, 4 correct answers, and not one of them, not one, ever put a hand below the ribs and checked the muscle sitting underneath every organ they looked at. Because the diaphragm is nobody's organ. The cardiologist owns the heart. The gut doctor owns the stomach. I own the lungs. But the muscle is the floor all of us are standing on, and a floor does not belong to anyone in the room. So it falls through the cracks between 5 specialties every single day, in clinics each doing their job correctly. Hear me clearly. That is not a conspiracy. Nobody is hiding this from you, and nobody is getting rich keeping it quiet. It is just a system built in boxes, and the one muscle that moves the whole body does not fit in a box. If you have walked out of an office still scared after being told everything is normal, you were never the problem. The system that checked you was built to look through one window at a time. So, now you know the suspect those 4 windows kept missing. I am not going to hand you a breathing trick and call it a cure, because it is not one. And anybody who tells you a 60-second exercise fixes your blood pressure or your heart has told you everything you need to know about them. What I'm going to give you is better than a false promise. First, how to read all of this without losing a night of sleep. One of these signs on its own is almost certainly nothing. That is just a body that is 50, 60, 70 years old doing normal things. But 2 or more of them that are new and that someone close to you has also noticed. That is the week to call your doctor. Not someday, not the year, the week. 1 sign is noise. 2, new and noticed, is a signal. And before anything else, the line I will not let you leave without. If your chest is tight right now, if pain is spreading into your arm or your jaw, if you suddenly cannot catch your breath, you do not finish this video. You call 911. I cannot examine you through a camera, and neither can anyone who ever claimed they could. Let them rule out your heart first. A muscle problem can wait an afternoon. A heart attack cannot. Everything I've told you today is a reason to get checked, never a reason to stay home and guess. Now the part that actually changes your next visit. Write this down. You sit across from your doctor and you say 1 sentence. Given my symptoms, could my diaphragm or a hiatal hernia be contributing to this, and is it worth evaluating? That is the whole thing. You are not telling your doctor their job, and you are not demanding a test. You are doing the one thing the 4-window system cannot do on its own. You are connecting the rooms. And if your breath hold came back low, you bring that too. Not as a diagnosis, as one more reason to check the floor. I have watched that single question turn an appointment around more times than any prescription I ever wrote. And if you want the exact version of it for every specialist you might sit in front of, it is in that 3rd guide, the one built to walk in with you. But the question itself is yours now, for free, so use it either way. That slow, low breathing we talked about, you can practice on your own, the way you stretch any stiff muscle. It treats no disease, and I am not prescribing it. It just keeps the floor under you a little more limber. Maintenance, nothing more. And that number you counted at the very start, the breath hold you may not have loved, keep it. In the next one, I'm going to show you what a weak diaphragm is quietly doing to your sleep, hours before you feel a single thing, and why the loudest snorers in the house are almost always the last to find out what is going on underneath them. And if tonight was the first time anyone handed you the whole muscle in one piece, the rest of the map is waiting for you. The complete library, all 3 guides, plus the 2 printable kits, it's $49.99, 76% off through June 20th, yours to keep. Scan the code on your screen or go to marcus.commonguides.com. It is the unrushed visit written down. If you have lived past 50 and you are tired of being told everything is normal while your body keeps telling you otherwise, this is the channel that keeps checking the floor. So keep your number, bring your question, and we will keep checking it together.